She is a local and she's from the Mornington Peninsula Shire. Would you like to come up, Councillor Antonella Celi? Please give her a round of applause. So I'll read a little bit about her. Antonella will talk about the Mornington Peninsula Shire Gender Equality Strategy. So Councillor Antonella has over 10 years experience in local government as a councillor and is a former mayor of Mornington Peninsula Shire. I didn't even know that. Sorry. She has held council delegated positions on several municipal committees and is the current chair of the Municipal Health and Wellbeing Committee that oversees the Gender Equality Strategy Annual Action Plan outcomes. So she's the lady to talk to, guys. She is a passionate advocate for the Mornington Peninsula and she lends her voice towards many issues including community safety, health and well-being, community development and social welfare outcomes for the disadvantaged and marginalised members of our community. And she works closely with all local residents, community groups, government and business organisations on projects of key importance to the Sea Winds Ward and the broader Shire community. The Sea Winds Ward is further south of the Mornington Peninsula. Okay? Is the Sea Winds Ward? Or the Sea Winds Ward.
Good morning, everyone. And to Ruth and Andrea, thank you for inviting me to speak at this belated International Women's Day luncheon celebrating women and girls in leadership, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Well, what can I say? We have finally managed to get together after the COVID year that we really don't want to remember and finally get into some women's business here at the wonderful Safety Beach Sailing Club, complete with these beautiful bay views. So thank you, David and the team, for hosting us at this wonderful venue. Before I continue, I would like to acknowledge and pay respects to the Bunurong and Bunurong people, the traditional custodians of these beautiful lands and waters here on the Mornington Peninsula. When we are talking about celebrating women and girls in leadership, it is important to remember that leadership is about a journey that each and every one of us take in this lifetime, and a journey that will leave an imprint of the kind of life that we have led to the best of our capabilities at any given time as a result of the choices that we make. We all have leadership traits within us, whether we are aware of it or not, and therefore there is no room to underestimate our own leadership potential or that of others. But instead, we should be all in to help cultivate leadership qualities at any given opportunity for women and for girls, and men and boys as well. We can all make decisions, right? Hands up, everyone who can make decisions. All hands have gone up. Well then, that is the start of making a great leader, so no one in this room is excluded. As a councillor elected to the Mornington Peninsula Shire, I know I didn't get here by chance, but by a lot of hard decisions and the right choices, as well as a big dose of faith and courage that empowered me to step out and make an impact, not only for my own life and career, but more importantly, also for the many others that I would cross paths with and create a synergy of connected influence. This morning, I will be talking to you about the Shire's Gender Equality Strategy and sharing with you our region's current state of play on gender equality and how through this strategy, the Shire intends to do its part to empower women and girls, not to the exclusion of men and boys, and take everyone on the journey of creating a healthy culture and attitude towards gender equality on the peninsula so that we can all benefit as a community. As a society, we are really grappling with statistics, research, and a call for quotas in areas such as gender equality, an issue that has had an enormous impact on women and girls for many centuries, as Ruth has touched on, many cultures across many countries. And we'd like to think that we've come a long way, but with the stories that we're still hearing, we have a long way to go. And it continues to always have an impact on us today. Tackling this topic head on to try and understand it is one of the biggest things we can do to lead, to make a difference for women and girls in future years to come. I would like now to delve into an overview of the gender equality strategy, look at some worrying local statistics, and more importantly, talk about what the Shire is doing in this space, along with community engagement and involvement. I'll be going in a bit deeper into gender inequality so that we can understand that it's much more than simply a lost opportunity for women to participate and contribute to society. Unfortunately, at the heart of gender inequality, there is an even more serious issue, one that just until a few years ago was largely a hidden one. And that issue is the very real prevalence of overt and covert violent acts and attitudes against women and their children. As a community, we are increasingly becoming aware that violence against women and their children, societal, family, workplace and domestic violence is a real situation, a real social concern, and it is really happening right here and right now in our communities, from passive acts right through to outright violent acts, as we just briefly heard about Malala's story, just briefly this morning, sorry, I forgot your name. Amna. That was a wonderful little snippet of Malala's, what happened to Malala there, real violent acts. But how do we know that this is really happening? I mean, we hear the anecdotal stories, and that is a legitimate question to ask. Yes, but we hear about it, but how do we know it's real? Is it really happening? So bear with me as I take you through some stats and insights that will give you answers about how our community views the state of play with gender equality. In the development of our gender equality strategy, the Shire consultation talked extensively to community members, staff and key stakeholders about their views and ideas through a series of workshops, feedback postcards and a survey. Does anyone in this room remember participating in any of the surveys on gender equality strategy with the Shire? Probably not, okay. What our extensive research, and it really did happen, what our extensive research and community consultation told us was a real eye-opener from those willing to share their answers, which I will now go through. So the first question we went out to the community to ask was, please rate your agreement with the following statement, that all men and women are respected equally in our community. In response, only 20% agreed with this statement. 68% of respondents either disagreed or strongly disagreed with the statement that all men and women were respected equally. So clearly there is a lot of work to do in this space and within our community to change this. The second question we asked people was whether they agreed with the statement that men and women are valued equally in a range of settings. The settings included sports and recreation, where 74% disagreed that men and women are valued equally. In the workplace, where 69% disagreed. At home, where 54% disagreed. And lastly, in the media, arts and culture, where 49% felt that women and men were not valued equally. The second question really showed us the settings where we most need to focus on addressing the gender drivers of violence and gender drivers of gender inequality. We then went and asked the community what they thought the main causes of violence against women were. The top 4 answers we received were abuse of alcohol, 75%, closely followed by anger management issues at 71%. Rigid gender roles and stereotypes came in at 64% of respondents felt that this was the main cause of violence, and unequal power across the genders came in at 63%, who felt that this was very important. What is interesting about this is that the first 2 responses, alcohol abuse and anger management, are not actually direct causes of family or gender-based violence, but they are significant contributing factors. The real cause lies in the second two highest responses: rigid gender roles and stereotypes, and unequal power across the settings. So we have a bit of work to do in highlighting the main causes within our community, but we have the data and the information that will help inform what we can do. Finally, and most importantly, we ask the community to prioritise actions that they would like to see the Shire undertake to increase gender equality. So the responses to those were 85% said they wanted us to deliver initiatives that promote respectful relationships. 81% wanted us to focus on the creation of opportunities for women in leadership roles. 78% wanted us to promote gender equality and challenge gender stereotypes to all groups and across all our diverse communities. And 74% wanted us to consider gender equality and increasing women's participation when planning sport and recreational infrastructure and buildings, community facilities, and also when we're placemaking in our neighbourhoods as well. This in-depth feedback from our community was so helpful and formed the basis on which we developed our gender equality strategy in line with the Our Watch national framework. This framework, which emanates from the state government, considers the key drivers of gender-based violence against women and girls and identifies 4 actions of prevention. 1, to challenge condoning of violence against women, promote women's independence and decision-making, challenge gender stereotypes and roles, and strengthen positive, equal and respectful relationships. Using these 4 actions as a guide, the Shire then developed 6 key issues of focus that cover 6 aspects of life. And those 6 areas are education and training, work and economic security, health, safety and well-being, leadership and representation, sport and recreation, and media, arts and culture. In the area of education, for example, there are actions we can take to promote and support women and girls in the study of STEM, science, technology, engineering and maths. By having more women do these traditionally male-dominated jobs, we will eventually overcome the unconscious attitudes of bias that still linger about whether women have what it takes to succeed in jobs that have historically been male-dominated. In the arena of work, more can be done to promote the benefits of women's participations in paid and unpaid work, valuing the contribution this adds to the economy and the protective factor of women's economic security as well, especially heading into retirement. Across all areas of life on the peninsula, we can also be looking at what strategies we can put into place to help develop respectful, safe and inclusive environments for both women and men. We can also work to increase opportunities for women and girls to participate in sport and recreation and work to celebrate their achievements. For example, we can ensure that sports pavilions across the peninsula have adequate female change facilities. Do you believe that some of them still do not, and we're still upgrading facilities that were built in the last century? It is absolutely unbelievable. We can also support sporting clubs to increase female participation in governance, officiation, coaching and volunteering. And I do a few talks at some sports associations as well, especially basketball was the most recent one. And in media, arts and culture, we need to ensure gender balance and constantly challenge gender norms and stereotypes in promotional and media campaigns. I've called many of them out over the years. We can also promote gender equality for performers, musicians and artists when gigs and performances are booked in our local venues and open spaces. There are so many more opportunities that can be explored within these 6 areas. And that is where all of you can play a major role in helping us and ensuring the success of the gender equality strategy on the peninsula. But in all of this, we must not forget the role of men and boys in this task. It is crucial that they are included in the journey because ultimately rigid gender stereotypes benefit neither men nor women in a contemporary society. We all know the reasons why it is important to encourage respect and equality between the genders. It just brings about a more cohesive society that is a win-win for everyone and doesn't leave anybody out. Cultural change is not something the Shire or indeed any level of government can do alone. It is a task that as leaders in this room, we must all embrace together, women, men, girls and boys. When we embrace the concepts of gender equality and break loose from gender-biased barriers that stifle achievement, we can achieve so much more, as well as a well-balanced and a fair and just society. So to all of you, thank you for being here today and supporting this event. And let's continue to celebrate women and girls in leadership, and let's enjoy today and our luncheon. And thank you once again to Ruth and Andrea and all the guest speakers we'll hear from today for making this day a success. So thank you all.
Thank you so much. You and I have been at many events together, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
So, does anyone, are you up for 3 questions?
And also, I just forgot to mention, if anyone wants a copy of our gender equality strategy, apologies, I should have brought some in. But you're welcome to contact me or contact the Shire, and you can get a copy or download it off our Shire website as well. It's very informative with the stats.
Okay, so if anyone has a question, please put your hand up and I'll bring the mic over.
Ooh, impromptu questions.
Yeah. Let's see whether she knows what she's talking about.
Thanks, Ruth. No pressure, yeah?
Okay.
I might know, I might not. I might have to get back to you. No, that's all.
I was just wondering the stats that you gave us. What percentage of the respondents were female, male?
Let's have a look. Female, male. I don't think we actually broke that down. I don't have them on hand, but I can get back to you on that. It's a very good question to ask.
Yeah, just curious as to, which who's got the majority.
Yeah, I know that throughout the whole process we did hear more from women than men. We do have the breakdown, but I don't have the exact figure on me. But I'm happy to get back to you on that. I'll give you my card and we can drill down on those figures. But I do know overall we did hear more from females and males, and overall in the consolidation of these statistics, that was, whether it was male or female who did respond, that was the level of statistic in that particular question category that shone through. Yeah, but it was a very good question. Yeah, but they were all aggregated within those questions to give that statistic value.
My question is, what is the top priority? I know that you have a number of programs, but what is the top priority to bridge that gap and the primary focus for you at the moment?
Well, at the moment we're actually rolling out a program for men, challenging gender stereotypes and gender roles at the moment, and creating it's called a healthy masculinity program. It's a program run by Family Life and a consortium of stakeholders with some research and program done by the Jesuit Social Services. So they're actually rolling out this program for men and women at the moment to actually challenge the role that men play in society, and to help men also understand how they can bring a healthy perspective to this issue. So that's sort of a priority at the moment. I wanted to make sure when we were working on the strategy that while we do have the data and the stats that women are at higher risk with family violence, we have evidence and research to prove that women and children are at higher risk to gender-based violence. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a stick approach to the men and the boys, you know, in our community, that we also brought them in along this journey and also provided them with strength-based programs to help them understand themselves, their role within their life, within their family, within their society, so that we can also help them along as well. And then also, for women and girls, as I, said in my presentation, across those 6 settings, it's important just to get out there and give women and girls a go. I know this issue for many, it may be confronting, we've got to get quotas, we've got to get 50-50 and everyone's sick of hearing it. There's an element sort of that. But I think with the history throughout centuries, that women have always been seen as the lesser gender. I don't think it's hurtful to just have a look at what is going on in that space, get some really good research and start making change that can help us to become a better contemporary society when we go about doing things across our different settings in life. So there's a healthy perspective to this. Yeah. It was a bit of a long-winded answer, but I hope I answered.
Thank you so much. Just one more question, please. Did anyone have a question?
I'll be around till 2 anyway, so feel free to have a chat.
I'll get you to talk because then everyone else can hear too.
Use the mic.
Okay, we'll see how we go.
It'll be good.
Antonella, what's the length of the strategy? So you started it this year, is it for 5 years, is it for a year?
Yeah, this strategy goes from 2020 to 2030. Yeah.
And how are you actually going to measure?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And as delegate to the committee, we sit on the Health and Wellbeing Committee, and every year we respond to a Gender Equality Annual Action Plan. So the Health and Wellbeing Committee, which is made up of many organisations from Peninsula Health to Headspace to our sports and leisure centres across the peninsula, as well as offices across the organisation. Everyone brings their projects that they're doing in this space for gender equality strategy, and it's actually put in a full-page document, and then that is tabled at the council meeting. The last one that I tabled for the Health and Wellbeing Action Plan and the Gender Equality Annual Action Plan progress was on the 23rd of March, so you'll find all of that information in the minutes, or contact me and I'm happy to get them to you. So the performance will be measured annually through the Health and Wellbeing Committee so that they're measurable, so that they are real, and we're getting value, and it's not just motherhood statements and words in the strategy. And that goes across all departments of the Shire, so from the Environment Protection Unit to the infrastructure to the social and welfare programs. It's across all units. Yeah, so it's not just about marching.
So thank you so much.
You're welcome, Ruth, and all the best for today.
Thank you.